Millions of Asians once came to the US to study, work, and build their futures. But in 2025, all of that could disappear with just one signature: Trump is coming back. And this time, he's bringing a blacklist of 10 Asian countries that could be completely shut out. No visas, no immigration, no opportunity. In this video, you'll learn why each country ended up on the list, what awaits the young people dreaming of going global, and why even Filipinos shouldn't be complacent. 10 Asian countries on Trump's 2025 list. 1. Laos. From shady borders to shattered dreams. There's a truth few dare to say out loud. America doesn't just care about security, it cares about control. And Laos, a tiny landlocked country deep in Southeast Asia, is now in the center of suspicion. According to a report by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Laos has been accused of having one of the most abusable passport systems in Asia. What does that mean? It means you can allegedly buy a Laotian passport with a fake identity. If you have the right money and connections, this isn't just a technical flaw, it's a strategic loophole. And to Trump's administration, that's a silent act of war. But the issue doesn't stop at paperwork. When a Laotian citizen breaks U.S. law or overstays their visa, U.S. law requires deportation. The problem? Laos often refuses to take back its own people, citing lack of citizenship proof or unable to verify identity. This leaves hundreds of Laotians stuck in U.S. immigration detention centers every year, costing millions of taxpayer dollars. Trump doesn't need many reasons to act. In his political mindset, if a country won't take back its offenders, it loses the right to send more citizens to study, work, or travel in the U.S. This is a soft retaliation principle, but it's highly effective. If the ban goes into effect, what's the fallout? Laotian students will lose their chance to attend U.S. universities. Even with scholarships, legal workers won't be able to renew their visas. They could be deported despite doing nothing wrong, families torn apart. Those in the U.S. can't sponsor their parents, siblings, or children. Laotian communities in California and Texas, already small, will fall into fear and psychological instability. But what most people miss? Laos is heavily dependent on remittances. Thousands of families live off the money sent from America. If this door slams shut, Laos's fragile agricultural economy could suffer a silent collapse. No protests, no bloodshed, but enough to force students to abandon study dreams, businesses to lose funding, and intellectuals to give up returning home. Trump doesn't talk much, but his actions send a clear message. If you can't control your own people, I'll control them for you, by locking the door. The question is, will Laos change to preserve the American dream for its citizens? Or will it sacrifice an entire generation because it can't fix its civil registry and immigration systems? 2. Cambodia. Heavy-handed regime. America's doors stay closed. There's a harsh truth in immigration policy. America doesn't want to cooperate with a government that doesn't respect its own people. And Cambodia, with over 2 million citizens living or working abroad, is now flashing red on Trump's 2025 radar. The reason isn't terrorism or war. It's the Cambodian government's lack of cooperation and transparency, especially when it comes to repatriating its own people. In 2022, several deportations of Cambodian nationals from the U.S. were stalled, not because the individuals refused to return, but because the Cambodian government declined to verify or accept them. Some had lived in the U.S. for decades, deported for criminal offenses but lacking original documents. Cambodia stayed silent. From Trump's perspective, that's a betrayal of international order. He once declared, if a country can't take responsibility for its own citizens, then it doesn't deserve to send more into America. But it's not just about documents. Cambodia is also on the U.S. list of countries accused of human rights violations, cracking down on press freedom, and using passports as political weapons. Many senior officials have been sanctioned or had their visas revoked by the U.S. If an immigration ban goes into effect, who will be hit first? Cambodian students at American universities may be unable to renew their visas, skilled workers, denied entry due to security trust issues, Khmer families in the U.S., unable to sponsor loved ones despite having prepped paperwork for years. And more deeply, Cambodia risks global isolation. Human rights organizations, investment funds, even universities, may hesitate to work with a country the U.S. labels untrustworthy on humanitarian grounds. But the damage doesn't end there. Cambodia heavily relies on money from foreign students, overseas workers, and remittances. When those channels are blocked, it's the poor back home who suffer. No more scholarships, no more chances for a better life. Only the silence of a government that refuses to change. Trump isn't targeting the people. He's targeting the system. But who ends up taking the hardest hit? Cambodia now faces two options: reform policies to regain global trust, or accept being shut out from the dream of globalization, where the government no longer holds the passport, but the barrier. 3. Myanmar. When the government is gone, the dream disappears too. In the world of global politics, there's one thing the U.S. always demands from partners: stability strong enough to trust. But after the military coup in 2021, Myanmar has lost that trust. And now, the country faces the threat of being fully banned from U.S. immigration under Trump 2025. The coup overthrew the civilian government, detained Aung San Suu Kyi, and triggered a wave of bloody protests. From a country rising through a democratic movement, Myanmar became a bleeding wound of Southeast Asia, a land ruled by the military and fear. To the Trump administration, it's a dangerous land, where the U.S. cannot verify identity, background, or purpose of immigrants, no transparent civil system, no trustworthy administration, which means if someone from Myanmar applies for a visa, the U.S. can't really know who they are. In an era where security is the top priority, this is a risk that cannot be accepted. But there's an even bigger reason: human rights. From the Rohingya tragedy to arbitrary detentions, Myanmar is accused of violating numerous international commitments. And in Trump's eyes, this is a government not worthy of immigration privilege. If the ban goes through, the consequences will be devastating. Thousands of Myanmar students studying in U.S. universities could lose their legal residency. Workers, nurses, engineers, IT professionals, Myanmar's brightest, could be denied visas just because their country no longer has a legitimate government. Families torn apart by war will lose their chance at reunification, even after decades of waiting. Economically, Myanmar will lose one of its key pipelines for global talent development, the gateway to U.S. education. No more scholarships, no more exchanges, no brainpower returning home. The country's future will grow increasingly isolated, dependent on non-democratic partners like China or Russia, instead of building transparent civic systems like South Korea or Singapore once did. Trump doesn't need to send troops into Myanmar. Just one immigration ban is enough to choke off the flow of intellect and hope. Myanmar once had the chance to become Southeast Asia's democratic role model. Now it stands as the perfect example of a nation that lost its future, simply by losing stability and trust. 4. Thailand. Freedom isn't enough, only doubt remains. Thailand has always been considered a historic friend of the U.S. in Southeast Asia, a tourism hub, a healthcare powerhouse, a dream destination for international students. But under Trump's 2025 immigration policy, friendship isn't enough to keep Thailand off the restricted list. Why? A dark mark from 2015, when the Thai government secretly deported 45 Uyghurs back to China, where they faced threats of persecution, torture, and execution. The incident shocked the world. Human rights organizations, the United Nations, and even the U.S. Congress strongly condemned it. This wasn't just a policy misstep. It was a sign. Thailand could sacrifice human rights in exchange for political ties. In Trump's strategic mindset, this is a deadly weakness. If a government can sell out asylum seekers to appease Beijing, how can America trust their visa, identity, or passport system? U.S. concerns aren't emotional. In 2023, numerous reports exposed widespread passport fraud, guaranteed pass student visas, even illegal immigrants from third countries entering the U.S. through Thailand using fake documents. Washington can no longer ignore it. If Thailand is placed under Trump's visa control list, Thai students may be denied visas even with valid U.S. university offers. Tourist visas will be tightened, directly affecting hundreds of thousands of families with relatives in America. The Thai restaurant, tourism, and service industries in the U.S. will face staff shortages, disrupting the vibrant Thai communities in California, Texas, and New York. That's not even counting the hidden fallout, hundreds of millions in lost remittances, blocked talent development, while neighboring countries like Vietnam and Malaysia accelerate their global integration. And something even more critical, the visa ban will serve as a warning strike to all of ASEAN that the US can chill relations with anyone who no longer shares its values of freedom, human rights, and transparency. Trump doesn't need to say it outright. A silent visa control signature is enough to pull Thailand out of the friend zone, pushing it toward anti-Western political forces. Thailand now faces a tougher exam than any school test. Will its government protect human rights or keep compromising just to stay in power? The answer will determine whether America's door stays open or shuts permanently. 5. Pakistan. Partner or dangerous gateway? In the global power game, America always needs allies. But not all allies are trustworthy. Pakistan was once a key partner in the war on terror, receiving billions in US military aid. But to Trump's 2025 administration, Pakistan is now a dangerous link in the global security risk chain and could be completely banned from entering the US. The reason isn't new, but it's still deadly serious. Pakistan is repeatedly accused of harboring extremist groups like the Taliban, the Haqqani network, and was once the hiding place of Osama bin Laden. What's troubling is, the Pakistani government hasn't fully denied it. They've simply failed to prove otherwise. To Trump's team, that's more than enough. Immigration policy, in his view, must start from absolute certainty. If identity, history, or political ties can't be confirmed, no one gets a visa. And this is a huge problem for Pakistan. Their citizen record system is chaotic, poorly digitized, and easy to forge. Many visa applications have been found with misinformation, mismatched documents. In a time when America fears wolves in civilian clothing, this is an unforgivable risk. In addition, Pakistan is also accused of refusing or delaying the repatriation of its deported citizens, citing unclear documentation. Each stranded individual costs the US money, detention, lawyers, security, all burdening taxpayers if placed on the immigration ban list. Thousands of Pakistani students, especially in STEM fields like engineering, medicine, and tech, could lose scholarships and visa approvals. The community of Pakistani origin professionals, engineers, and doctors in Silicon Valley, New York, and Houston won't be able to sponsor family or renew work visas. Split families between the two countries will face a no reunion possible reality, with visas frozen indefinitely. Politically, US-Pakistan relations will nosedive. Washington may cut military aid, limit strategic cooperation, and send a hard message to South Asia. The US is ready to sacrifice diplomacy if security is at stake. However, the price is steep. America would lose a crucial influence near India and Afghanistan. Meanwhile, China is quietly ramping up investment in Pakistan through the CPEC economic corridor. If the US pulls out, Beijing will step in. And then, the issue won't just be visas, but the entire balance of power in the region. Trump knows this, but he accepts it. Because in his philosophy, ambiguity is the enemy of strength, and any country that can't prove it's safe is by default a threat. The final question for Pakistan isn't, do you want to be friends with America? It's, do you deserve to be trusted? And if you can't answer, the American door will close, without a word of warning. 6. Vietnam. War memories, the American dream, and a legal chase. Among the list of countries proposed for immigration bans by Trump in 2025, Vietnam's appearance might surprise many. Vietnam is not a crisis country, no civil war, no terrorism, no coup. So why is it on the list? The answer lies in a long-standing controversy that has never truly been resolved. The deportation of Vietnamese who resettled in the US after the war but never became citizens. After 1975, hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese fled their homeland in boats, settling in America as war refugees. They lived, worked, paid taxes, but not all became citizens. A small number, though few, committed crimes. And when deported, the Vietnamese government refused to take them back. The reason? Under a 2008 agreement between the US and Vietnam, Individuals who arrived in the U.S. before July 12, 1995, were not subject to mandatory repatriation. Trump won't accept that. He made it clear. If someone was born in Vietnam, then Vietnam has an obligation to take them back. To him, this is a refusal of responsibility, and that's unacceptable. That triggered a series of tough measures. Tightening visas for Vietnamese nationals, threatening cuts to H-1B visa quotas, canceling visas for certain immigration officials, and even proposing restrictions on student, labor, and family reunification visas. If Vietnam does not change its stance, Trump may issue a ban or suspend new visa issuance. Thousands of Vietnamese students in the U.S., among the top 5 nationalities for international students, will be directly affected. Visas won't be renewed, scholarships may be revoked. Vietnamese workers and professionals in tech, restaurants, and service industries in the U.S. will face major hurdles in applying for residency or sponsoring family. Families awaiting reunification, where children in the U.S. are preparing to bring over their parents, may see the process indefinitely stalled. The impact goes beyond individuals. Vietnam could lose billions in remittances, suffer a steep drop in academic exchanges, and most significantly, lose a generation of brain-gain returnees. Those who studied in America came home to start businesses, transfer technology, and reform management thinking. The U.S. was once the dream for many Vietnamese, a place to start over, to reunite, to hope. But if the Vietnamese government won't cooperate on repatriation, that dream may vanish right at the visa interview booth. Trump doesn't care about history. He cares about principle. The country that gave birth to a person must take responsibility for that person. The issue remains unresolved. The question now is, should Vietnam continue to protect old refugees or accept their return to secure a future for the next generation? And is anyone brave enough to answer clearly before America shuts the door once and for all? 7. Afghanistan. America's door has closed for a nation without a home. If there's one place in the world where America no longer knows whom to trust, it's Afghanistan. After more than 20 years of military intervention, thousands of U.S. soldiers dead, and hundreds of billions of dollars spent to build a civilian government, it all collapsed in just 11 days. The Taliban returned without gunfire, without resistance, and the whole world watched as thousands clung to plane wheels fleeing Kabul, a symbol of utter despair. Trump wasn't president then, but he hasn't forgotten. And when he returns to the White House, Afghanistan is the first country he wants to completely shut out. No visas, no entry, no exceptions. The first reason, unverifiable identities. Under Taliban rule, Afghanistan's citizen records, passports, and security systems have collapsed. The U.S. has no reliable tools to verify who is applying for a visa, what their background is, or if they're tied to militant groups. Second, Afghanistan refuses to accept deportees from the U.S., or the current government is no longer recognized as a legal partner by the U.S., meaning Afghan nationals who break American law will be stuck in detention, with no country to return to. A dead-end loop. Third, and most dangerous, the U.S. fears extremist groups may exploit migration flows to infiltrate, not everyone, but it only takes one infiltrator. The outcome could be catastrophic. If the ban goes into effect, and it almost certainly will, it will strike a brutal blow to an entire generation of Afghans dreaming the American dream. Afghan students, especially women, will lose any chance to attend college, to escape the harsh regime. Interpreters who once worked for U.S. forces, promised asylum, could be left behind, facing torture or execution. Families split by war will never reunite, because America no longer sees Afghanistan as a partner. But the deepest pain, the humanitarian door has closed. In the name of national security, Trump doesn't deny this. In a recent speech, he said, "I cannot bring an entire country into America just because they failed to save themselves." To him, compassion must follow principle. America is not obligated to carry the burden of a broken world, especially a government that was once given the chance and lost it all. The question is no longer, will America save Afghanistan? It's, can Afghanistan save itself when the world has turned its back? If not, then Afghanistan, once the focus of global attention, will vanish into silence, not from bombs, but because no one is willing to open the door for them ever again. 8. Bangladesh, when a peaceful nation falls into the crosshairs. Bangladesh has no war, no large-scale terrorism, no coups, no military rule, and no declared hostility toward the U.S. So why is it at risk of being added to the immigration ban list in 2025? The answer lies in one word: ambiguity. According to internal reports from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Bangladesh is listed as one of the South Asian countries least capable of reliably verifying the identities of its citizens. Fake passports are common. Civil data systems remain largely manual. Verifying the identity of visa applicants, especially those in student or family reunification categories, often encounters errors. Trump doesn't look at current conditions. He looks at risk potential, and the biggest risk is allowing bad actors to infiltrate the U.S. immigration system through countries with weak administrative controls. Additionally, in recent years, the U.S. has repeatedly warned that Bangladesh is slow to take back its deported citizens who violated immigration laws, leaving hundreds stuck in U.S. detention centers, placing serious financial and legal pressure on the system. If added to the visa ban list, Bangladeshi students, whose numbers are rapidly growing in U.S. tech universities, could lose scholarships, face suspended visas, or be denied renewals. Skilled workers, especially in garments, IT, and construction, may be denied visas even with valid contracts. The Bangladeshi communities in New York and California, home to tens of thousands of stable families, would face emotional turmoil as they become unable to bring over parents or siblings. Worse still, Bangladesh is currently receiving heavy investment from China through the Belt and Road Initiative. If the U.S. imposes a ban, Bangladesh may pivot entirely toward Beijing, weakening America's strategic influence in South Asia. For Trump, this is a dual test. A test of whether Bangladesh is willing to reform its citizen management, cooperate on repatriation, and increase transparency, and a test of whom Bangladesh will choose when under pressure, Washington or Beijing. If the answer isn't clear, it will be made clear by a ban. No need for war declarations, no need for press conferences. A country may not be at war, but it can still lose its future if it cannot control itself. 9. Philippines. When an ally is no longer a priority. No Asian nation has been as tied to America as the Philippines, a former U.S. colony, host to American military bases, with millions of Filipino citizens living in the U.S., and a culture that's half Asian, half American, rooted deeply in education and politics. But in Trump's 2025 worldview, loyalty is not assumed. Under former President Duterte, the Philippines tilted toward China, even threatening to cancel the Visiting Forces Agreement with the U.S., a move that sent chills through the Pentagon. Though the new administration tried to repair ties, strategic trust has already fractured. And in immigration policy, the U.S. doesn't just look at passports, it looks at political reliability. Moreover, DHS reports show the Philippines has become a transit point for human smuggling organizations entering the U.S. through Mexico. Criminal networks have used fake documents or real Philippine passports to pass through third countries. Several cases in 2024 exposed fake passports, sham student visas, and even fake marriages, leaving Washington unable to ignore the issue. Trump doesn't need many reasons. He only needs one. An ally must be accountable. If the Philippines continues to be seen as weak on immigration control and uncooperative on deportations, a visa ban could be imposed sooner than expected. The consequences go beyond individuals. Hundreds of thousands of Filipinos working in the U.S., especially in healthcare, nursing, and tech, may lose the ability to extend visas or sponsor family members. Students studying in the U.S. may be denied visa renewals or face delays in document processing. Filipino communities in California, Hawaii, and Nevada, totaling nearly 4 million people, will feel betrayed by the very nation they've served for decades. Even families holding green cards could be affected indirectly if policy shifts from targeted control to blanket tightening. The U.S.-Philippines relationship was once considered unbreakable, but the truth is, nothing is unbreakable if national security is on the line. Trump doesn't see the Philippines through nostalgia. He sees it through data, and if the data says the Philippines is no longer a trusted partner, then no one, not even the oldest ally, is exempt. The question is no longer, is the Philippines a friend of America? It's, is the Philippines still qualified to be one? And if there's no satisfactory answer, then there will be no visa, no reunification, no way back. 10. Indonesia, the silent giant and the door quietly closing. Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim-majority country, Asia's fourth largest economy, and a population exceeding 270 million, has never officially appeared on any U.S. immigration ban list. But that doesn't mean it's safe. According to reports from the U.S. State Department and intelligence agencies, Indonesia is under close monitoring due to several troubling factors. A slow-burning rise of religious extremism, especially in remote provinces like Aceh and East Java, its potential role as a transit hub for illegal migration networks, gaps in passport issuance, visa control, and citizen background verification, similar to Bangladesh, but on a much larger scale. Trump has no patience for potential risks. To him, the bigger the country, the more it must prove it's in control. Otherwise, the entire system could be compromised. In 2024, multiple H-1B visa applications from Indonesia were denied, particularly those that couldn't clearly verify finances, education history, or permanent address. Indonesia's international education pipeline, with tens of thousands of students hoping to study in the U.S., is quietly being squeezed, and if an official ban is issued, an entire generation of young Indonesians dreaming of U.S. universities will lose their path. Skilled professionals, from oil engineers to IT specialists, may be denied visas without explanation. Startups in AI, fintech, and logistics, currently partnered with Silicon Valley, will lose vital connections. Worse still, if Trump categorizes Indonesia as a country with unverifiable identity, the entire Indonesian community in the U.S., even legal residents, will be scrutinized, surveilled, and at times silently denied visa renewals. Indonesia isn't loud, but it's this silence that's frightening. Because in Trump's immigration doctrine, the most dangerous threat isn't the one that shouts, it's the one that hides. And if Indonesia doesn't prove itself as a reliable partner soon, it may become the surprise final entry in the largest immigration ban America has ever imposed on Asia. The final question, does a bigger country mean better concealment or more intense scrutiny? To Trump, the answer is clear, and so is the warning. If you can't control your own borders, I'll control your people's dreams. This isn't just a visa ban. It's a global power move, 10 countries, 10 doors about to slam shut. But this isn't just a list, it's a geopolitical message, broadcast from Washington and echoing through every consulate in Asia. Trump doesn't just want to protect the borders, he's using immigration policy as a tool of geopolitical leverage. If you don't cooperate, you're out. If you can't prove transparency, you're sidelined. And if you think history, alliances, or past suffering can protect you, he'll prove the opposite. For Asian citizens, this ban isn't just about visas. It's about losing hope, losing the chance to change your life, losing access to education, work, reunification, entrepreneurship, and ambition. And the saddest part is, the people who suffer most aren't the ones who make the policies. I'm not advocating for unchecked immigration. I understand America needs security. But I also believe, in any policy, fairness must be paired with humanity, and punishing a government shouldn't mean slamming the door on an entire people. If an 18-year-old student, bright and decent, is banned from entering America just because of the country they were born in, then this is no longer immigration policy. It's an ethical fracture. I believe every nation should take responsibility for its citizens, but America, as the leader of the free world, must also take responsibility for the values it claims to defend. If you're from one of these 10 countries, share your story in the comments. What are you going through? What worries you? Is your American dream under threat? And if you believe this video matters for the community, share it now, because even one early warning could change someone's entire fate. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss critical updates on immigration, visas, scholarships, and survival strategies under Trump's era.